Okay, good morning, guys. How are you doing today? Good morning, online. Good morning. Hope everyone are doing good. Hi, Jeevan. How is Saujanya? I'm doing good. Okay. Yes, all good. So what did we discuss in our last class? Storage classes. Storage classes and lifecycle management cards. Okay. So can you, okay, first question is, isn't it mandatory to select a storage class while uploading the object? Answer is yes or no? Yes. So can you please name the storage classes that you have learned? Standard frequently access, standard infrequently access, reduced redundancy storage, one zone IA, intelligent tire, glacier, and then deep glacier. Fantastic. Very good. So which one is the default storage class? Standard frequently access. Okay. So you know the differences between all the storage classes, correct? Okay. Nice. And then what is the minimum duration to move to the infrequently access? 30 days. Glacier, 90. Deep glacier, 180. What is the minimum object size? 0 bytes. And what is the minimum object size for infrequently access? 128 KB. Nice. And then is it possible to move the objects from one storage class to another storage class? Yes. Automatically? Huh? Automatically, yes, right? Through what feature? LCM. What is LCM? Life cycle management. We also had an LCM in another service. Which one was that? What is that? That is life cycle manager. This one is life cycle management. Don't get confused. So in EC2 it was manager. Here it is management. So in life cycle management we have two actions. What are those? Transition and expiration. So can we do these two actions for your current versions and previous versions also? Answer is yes. Okay. And all the features in S3 can be applied for your entire bucket, or you can do it for a particular prefix. Agree? Okay. And then if you want to have the logs, if you want to know who is accessing the bucket, so what is the feature that you need to enable? Uh, what is the feature that you need to enable? Louder. Server access logs. What is that? Server access logs. Okay. So can you enable object level logs also? In which service? Cloud Trail. And did we discuss about object lock? Yes. So you can lock the object for a certain period of time, or you can lock it permanently also. And can you analyze the logs directly from S3 using what service? Athena. Which one? Athena. And then we discuss about the CORS. What's the full form of CORS? Cross origin resource sharing. So by default, you have two different bucket resources are shared. No. So you need to enable CORS for it. So this is what we have learned. Let's continue today with a few more topics. Okay, can you please confirm? Can you see my screen and can you hear me well? Okay. So now the topic here is we call it as CRR. What's that? Cross region replication. What's that? Cross region replication. This is CRR. And then we have similarly SRR. SRR meaning same region replication. What are the two things, Nana, here? CRR, SRR. What is CRR? Cross region replication. SRR meaning same region. See, cross region replication means the name clearly says cross region replication. What is the meaning of replication? Copy, right? Whatever the, let's say you have bucket one and bucket two, whatever the data that you are uploading on the bucket one, the same data will be available in the bucket two. So, but here the bucket should be in the same region or different region. Different region. If it is different region, that we call it as CRR. If it is in the same region, that we call it as SRR. Simple as that. So, Nana, in real time, you might be having a requirement that whatever anyone is uploading any object in one bucket, if you want the same object to be replicated to another bucket, so we can enable the CRR. Let's say, for example, so we have two buckets and the CRR and SRR can be applied for within the same account also and in the different account also. Let's say we have here Madhu, correct? Ah, very good. So Madhu is there. So Madhu, he has a bucket. And what I did was, in that bucket, he is uploading nice movies, right? If I want to know what we do, I'll simply go ahead and create a CRR rule in his bucket or not. That is his bucket, source is his bucket, destination is my bucket. If I create a CRR rule in his bucket, whatever he upload inside his bucket, all that information will come to my bucket also. That is called what? Replication. If the buckets are in the different regions, that we call it as CRR, cross region replication. And if the buckets are in the same region, that we call it as same region replication, SRR. Simple as that. Easy, no? But I'll put that in diagram format. CRR, SRR. So let's say this is the bucket. So I assume this is in Mumbai. And also, let's say, for example, here we have a object already uploaded, index.html. And then I have another bucket here. So this bucket in which region? Ireland. Okay. So Ireland region. So this can be in the same account also, or this can be in another account also. No problem. So now I have index.html already created. Can you tell me that index.html will be replicated to this second bucket? Did I create a CRR rule? No. If you don't create a CRR rule, can it be replicated? No. So here, in which bucket I need to create a CRR rule? Mumbai bucket. Where it doesn't matter. From wherever you want to replicate, from there you need to create a rule. If you want to replicate from Mumbai to Ireland, create it. If you want to replicate from Ireland to Mumbai, where do you need to create a rule? In Ireland, simple as that. So here you need to create a CRR rule here. CRR rule. Once you create the CRR rule, let's say, for example, here you have uploaded our favorite puppy.jpg. Now tell me which one will get replicated here? Puppy.jpg or index.html or both? Huh? Which one will get replicated? Only puppy. Only puppy. So because CRR rule was created after index.html, no? So here, whatever the object that have been uploaded after the rule created, those will get replicated. So here puppy.jpg will get replicated. So here puppy.jpg. Okay. Now, if you ask, sir, my existing objects will not get replicated, answer is yes. But by default, it will not get replicated. So you will get a nice window saying that, hey, existing objects need to be replicated, question mark. So if you say yes, then existing objects also will get replicated. If you say no, it will not get replicated. You understand? So while creating the CRR rule, which one, Azamu? Which one you want me to repeat? So the CRR rule, what I'm saying is, let's say, for example, we have a bucket with index.html. Already few files are there. So later we have created a CRR rule. Once you created a CRR rule, whatever the objects that you have uploaded after creating the rule, those will get replicated automatically. Existing objects will get replicated? By default, no. But whenever you are creating CRR rule, it will ask clearly, Babu, you want to replicate the existing objects? If you say yes, then existing objects will get replicated. If you say no, your existing objects will not get replicated. Okay. So here, there is one concept called, I'll talk later on this. Okay, so I'll talk later. Let's not introduce the topic here. So is this clear, Nana? CRR, and then replication. Azam, is it clear for you? Azam, okay, nice. So Nana, if I have a bucket here in the same region, I mean, here I call it as, we have another bucket called Mumbai. Okay, see here, if you're replicating from here to here, this will become CRR, SRR. 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 Clear? Simple. CRR and then SRR. Now, by default, the CRR is enabled. By default, it is enabled. Nothing features are enabled. So these are all the different features we have in S3. If at all you require, based on the requirement, you enable it. Otherwise, no. CRR is not enabled by default. So SRR is chargeable. Everything is chargeable. Double. So the thing is here, CRR also, SRR also, everything will charge. But here, as we are in the free tier, only certain GB is free. Let's say 5 GB maximum. But don't play of uploading huge files and start replicating. No, you should understand the concept. That's it. Okay. So you know to, but in real time, it will be charged. Definitely yes. So CRR or SRR is enabled on bucket level. And very important certification question. Nana, if you want to have a CRR, SRR, versioning should be enabled for the bucket. If there is no versioning enabled, you cannot have the CRR, SRR. So what is mandatory to do CRR, SRR? Versioning. Certification question. Versioning is mandatory to use CRR or SRR. Existing objects can also be replicated at the time of creating CRR rule. The one which I was about to tell is, we have something called batch operation. What is it, Nana? Batch operation meaning, let's say your existing objects will get replicated automatically. No, existing objects will not get replicated. But if you want the existing objects to be replicated, you will need to click yes, no. When you click on yes, a batch operation will be created. Batch operation meaning bulk operation. Existing all the objects bulkily, it will replicate to another bucket. So what is that operation called? Batch operation. So batch operation meaning if you want to do it bulkily, any kind of operations that we call it as batch operation. And this CRR, SRR will be created only within the account or other account also. Cross account also you can do it. CRR buckets can be in the same account or different accounts as well. CRR across AWS accounts also possible. I got, based on Priyanka's question here, I just want to introduce one thing. So the pricing on S3, in EC2, we know how much bigger instance type that you have taken and how much size of volume you have taken, AWS will charge for it. How about S3? In S3, AWS will charge based on the size that you have uploaded and also based on the data transfer, how much you are uploading, downloading, transferring the files, right? And how much size that you have in the bucket, depend on that AWS will charge. So S3 cost is depend upon the object size and data transfer. What is the two things, Nana? Object size and data transfer. Very important certification question. S3 cost depend upon object size and data transfer. Is it clear? Online, is this clear till here? CRR, SRR? Suresh, Ramesh type? Both are brothers, CRR, SRR. Online people, in your keyboard, you have your keyboard, no? Huh? There is letters. C, you press 2 types there, 2 times. It will be fun. Magic will happen. See? You should not be that lazy not to press easy, no? Yeah, nice. Okay. Azam is very active. Okay. So now let's talk about a very important topic, which is called encryption. So encryption, not only in S3, this encryption that we are talking is throughout AWS. Generally, we'll talk about encryption. So generally, why we need encryption? It is related to what? Security. So if you want to secure your data, you need to have the encryption. Okay. So basically, not on S3, but generally, I'm saying in general purpose, in general thing. Encryption basically can be done in 2 ways. How many ways? 2 ways. One is in transit. Say that. And second one is data at rest. What is that? Data at rest. 2 things. What are those? In transit, data at rest. What is in transit generally? Have you heard about in transit? Generally, where did you see or where did you saw in transit? Online shopping. Online shopping also. In airports also, no? When you're traveling from one country, one place to other place, you see in transit, right? And also online shopping, she said, if you expand that online tracking, it says in transit. So in transit meaning traveling. In transit meaning what? Traveling. It's on the way. On the way. Transit meaning on the way. So yeah, in transit meaning traveling on the way. So here, whenever we are talking about the data, can you tell me when the data is traveling? You open a browser and you type http:// google.com and then you're typing. So the data is transferring to the URL, no? And how do you secure that? Using HTTPS, no? Remember? Remember HTTPS we learned? So HTTPS is used for security purpose. It is related to encryption, no? So when the data is transferring, if you remember our starting basics topic, HTTPS meaning what? It will transfer the data from your client to server, server to client. So whatever the data it is moving in the network, this HTTPS will encrypt it. So that is called in transit. So the data which is encrypted while the data is traveling is called in transit. And how do you achieve in transit? Using HTTPS. How do you achieve? Using HTTPS. So one place to another place, if data is moving or transferring, how do you encrypt it, Nana? Using HTTPS. And that model we call it as in transit encryption. And second one is what? Data at rest. As the name clearly says, data at rest. Is it moving? It is just resting. So in our AWS, in which service in where data will be just sitting over there? Huh? Uh-huh. Okay. Inka, one more. Where is just data is sitting? Huh? Volumes. Exactly. Which one, Nana? Volumes, no. EBS volumes. Data is just sitting over there, no? Right? In S3 also data is just sitting. RDS also this data is sitting. So wherever just the data is sitting, on top of it, we can do the encryption. And that encryption is called data at rest. And which is the service is used for encryption? KMS. Which one? KMS. So data at rest. While do you remember in EBS volumes we have encrypted? No, using what? KMS only, na? Keys. So when the data is rest, so how do you do the encryption? Using KMS. When data is traveling, how do you do the encryption? Using while traveling? HTTPS. While data at rest, through KMS. Getting it? So basically, encryption can be done in two ways. What are those? In transit encryption, data at rest. In transit meaning while data is transferring. How do you encrypt it? Using HTTPS. Another one is data at rest. So while data is at rest, and how do you encrypt it? Using KMS. And HTTPS certificates, where do you create in AWS? Very good. Very good. Which one? ACM. Remember ACM? What is ACM? Amazon Certificate Manager. And where do you create encryption keys? KMS. Understood? ACM, HTTPS. KMS, say encryption keys. You're getting it? Don't worry, I'll write all those things. But you understand? So there are two ways. Encryption can be done in two ways. Encryption can be done in two ways. In transit encryption. In transit encryption meaning encryption while data is moving or transferring using HTTPS. Data at rest. Encryption while data is at rest. How to do it? Using KMS. Amazon Certificate Manager. ACM is where you can create or you can generate HTTPS certificate in transit. And another one is KMS, Key Management Service. is where you can create encryption keys for data at rest. Now clear? Okay. So this is in general encryption. In general, encryption can be done like this in AWS. So let us learn how the encryption is done on S3 level. So S3 is mainly what kind of encryption we do? In transit or data at rest in S3. In S3, what do we do? In transit or data at rest? Data at rest, because it is just sitting in buckets only. No, is it transferring? No. So it is just sitting over there. So we'll do the data at rest. So in Amazon S3 has basically three types of encryptions. Amazon S3 has three types of encryption. Harsha, we'll talk on that also. Server side encryption. In S3, how many types of encryptions are there? Three. Server side encryption, client side encryption, and then last in transit encryption. So in transit encryption can be done using what? HTTPS. Very good. Client side encryption is handled by whom? Client only, no? From your company to do AWS, the data which is traveling, that encryption can be handled by whom? AWS or client? Client only. So who should handle this? Client should handle this. Should be handled by client. Okay. So mainly we have server side encryption. What is that? Server side. In server side encryption, we have again three types. We call it as SSE. What is the full form of SSE? Not senior software engineer, right? SSE meaning server side encryption. So three types: SSE S3, SSE KMS, SSE C. So what are the three types of encryption we have in S3? Mainly server-side encryption, client-side encryption, in-transit encryption. In-transit encryption, client-side, just ignore. We don't use much. So mainly server-side encryption, we'll do it. In server-side encryption, how many types are there? Three types. What are those? These are important. What are those? SSC S3, say it. SSC S3, SSC KMS, SSC C. Out of these three, which one is mostly commonly used is SSC S3. Which one? SSC S3 is commonly used. So these keys are managed by AWS. Remember in EBS, AWS/EBS. Remember the keys. AWS/EBS. In S3, AWS/S3. In RDS, AWS/RDS. So like this, in S3 also we have the default key, which is managed by whom? AWS only. That is called SSC S3, which is managed by AWS. That is the most commonly used. So AWS managed key. You know very well this. KMS meaning AWS KMS key. If you want to create your own keys. C meaning customer provided keys. Keys. So which one is the most commonly used out of this? SSC S3. This one is most commonly used. And it uses an algorithm called AES 256. What is the algorithm that is used? AES 256. Pakka certification question. Mark it if required. AES 256. AES full form is Advanced Encryption Standard. Advanced Encryption Standard. Certification question. Advanced Encryption Standard. By default, for the bucket, encryption is enabled. Certification question, right? By default, encryption is enabled for the bucket. While you're creating the bucket, already encryption is enabled. So which type of encryption is that? SSE S3. Which one? That's what I said. No, which one is the default encryption method that we are using? SSE S3. Who is managing that key? AWS is managing. Okay, na? So this is certification question I'm writing here also. So by default, buckets are encrypted with SSE S3. Now, is this clear on the encryption part? Hmm? Okay. So the topic now I'm talking about here is, it is very simple only, but you need to little bit concentrate. Okay. We know this topic, but as a part of certification, he's asking that type of different kind of, let's see here. Nana, you have the bucket. What is this? Bucket. In order to, first you will write a reader. First, without writing, how do you read? We know, but a little bit, right? First, what we do? We write. So what I did was I uploaded index.html. So first we write and then read. So now can I say, listen this carefully. Can I say read after write? Huh? Read after write. Can I say read after write? Yes. So generally it is a very common thing. First we write and then we read. But how AWS is asking is read after write. Correct or not? It's correct only. So here we have something called S3 data consistency models. What is that? Data consistency models. Okay. So I want you to concentrate a little bit. S3 data consistency models. Nana, there are two types. How many types of models are there? Two types. Can I say upload? I'm uploading the object. Uploading the object meaning, can I say put? Put is one of the method. Put meaning what? Upload. So I'm uploading a new object or not? Yes or no? I'm uploading the new object. Can I say, I'm just saying this. Read after write consistency of puts of new objects. Can I say that? I'm repeating. Read after write consistency for puts of new objects. We can say, right? I'll write and then you read it. See, read after write consistency for puts of new objects. Whenever you put a new object, first that meaning put of new object is nothing but write only, no? And then what you're doing? Reading. So that's why you call it as read after write consistency for puts of new objects. Generally, when someone asks, where is your nose? We'll show here. But this line is like this. Right? So generally we write first and then we read. So, but here as a part of certification question, he's asking like this, read after write consistency for puts of new objects. So this is a Pakka certification question. Don't change the words. In certification, they will change the words like put to post or get or something. No, it is only puts of new objects. Clear? First line is clear, consistent model. Okay. Second one is, now see, in index.html, I have a data called ABC. Can I change it to DF? Yes. you see in real time, normal in personal life also, whenever you modify any file and you open it, sometimes it will show the old data. If you say, hey, what is this, refresh, and then you'll get the new data. Yes or no? Did you observe this? Right? And sometimes when you delete also, you can access the file. Then if you refresh it, the file is gone. Yes or no? So this is something called eventually consistency. What is this called? Eventually. What is eventually meaning? Slowly, dheere se, right? Slowly. Eventually consistency model. What is this model called? Eventually consistency model. Eventually consistency model for now what I'm doing from ABC to DF, I'm overwriting index.html or not? I'm overwriting the puts and deletes. I'll write and then you try to eventually consistency for overwrites of puts and deletes. So eventually consistency meaning slowly it will get updated for if I do any kind of overwrites of puts, and if I delete also, sometimes it will be slowly get affected. That is the meaning of this. You understand or not? Okay, I'm repeating this. Say yes or no with me. Huh? I have index.html. Okay. And what is the data I have? ABC. Can I index.html is my put only or not? Agree? Everyone agree? Index.html, I'm putting it. So whatever the puts that I am doing it, I'm overwriting from ABC to DF. So immediately will get affected or eventually? Eventually. Eventually consistency for overwrites of puts. I'm overwriting the put. And also, if I delete this index.html, sometimes this will work. Or if I refresh, it will not work. And what is that called? Eventually consistency for deletes. So now you understand? Eventually consistency for overwrites of puts and deletes. Pakka certification question. And easily they will change all these wordings in the question. So please remember like this only. So say this with me. Read it. The 2 lines. First one. Read after write consistency for puts of new objects. Whenever you put a new object, you immediately will read after write. That is called read after write for puts of new objects. And what is the second one? Eventually consistency for what? Overwrites of puts and deletes. You understand? So these are the 2 consistency models. You need to keep that in mind. Certification question, 100%. In S3, you will get so many questions. In exam, so many questions you'll get it. Okay. Okay. So now, this is another bucket. So let's say I have a bucket. Which is your favorite movie that you are awaiting, which is not released yet? Salara? Okay. Trailer released? Not that one. Another one which is not released yet. Game changer. What? In yesterday, someone say animal. Animal movie is there. Okay. So who is game changer? Meaning who is that hero? Okay. Game changer. Okay. Okay. Let's say assume Guntur Karam. Guntur Karam. This guy, no? Okay. Okay, so Game Changer is a movie which is not released yet. Teaser is also not released. Trailer is also not released. I want to give, let's say I am the director of Game Changer. Appa. Huh? Assume, or else I am maintaining that entire movie. So now I have a teaser of Game Changer with me. I have a teaser of Game Changer with me. So now Divya took very personally. She's saying all the best to me. What, Divya? Okay. So Game Changer, I have a teaser with me. I want to give this teaser only to few friends, not for everyone. Right? So Nana, this Game Changer is an object or not? It's an object. So every object will have the object URL or not? It has an object URL. So what I do is here, yeah, I know. So what I do is here, I'll generate a temporary URL. I'll generate a temporary URL and I'll give the time period of 5 minutes. I'll give the time period of 5 minutes. I'll generate a temporary URL which is valid for only 5 minutes. So I'll give this URL to everyone for my friends, and this URL will be valid for how many minutes? Only 5 minutes. After that, that URL will not work. It's a temporary URL. So this kind of URLs, we call it as a pre-signed URL. What URL? Pre-signed URL. Pre-signed URL. So pre-signed URL meaning I can generate a temporary URL and I can give the validity for that object. Not for myself, for others. So I'll generate a URL and give only 1 minute. And by the time you access this and see the teaser or first look, a URL is expired. So can I give like this? So in real time, what we can do is, let's say you guys are working with me. I want to share some data. I'll share the data. I give the temporary, and this doesn't require any kind of permissions, nothing. You can generate directly a temporary URL, give it to anyone. For him, no permissions required, no AWS account required, nothing is required. Use the URL in the browser and you can access the object. That is called pre-signed URL. So pre-signed URL here, what I do is endpoint is valid for certain period of time. So example, can I say 10 minutes? After 10 minutes, what will happen? It will expire. After 10 minutes, it will expire. URL will not work. So in real time, if you want to share any data to others, so you can use the pre-signed URL, which is temporary purpose. Understood now what is pre-signed URL? Okay. So I have Ireland. Tell me a few region names. It's very big, yeah. And Virginia, Ohio, Tokyo. Okay, let's say enough. So we are sitting in Hyderabad. We are sitting in Hyderabad. Now, what I do is I want to upload. I want to upload some objects to Ireland. I want to upload. I have created a bucket in Ireland. I want to upload some objects into Ireland bucket. So generally I can upload it, no? From my laptop, can I upload my objects to Ireland bucket? Yes, I can upload. So it is using our normal internet or not? Yet it is using our normal internet. Let's say, for example, it is taking 10 minutes to upload to Ireland. But my requirement is it should not take 10 minutes. I want to accelerate the transfer. I want to accelerate. Accelerate meaning what? Speed, right? I want to accelerate the transfer. So it is taking only 10 minutes. No, I want to make it fast. I want to finish it within 1 minute. So it is taking your normal internet to, it's taking 10 minutes, but I want to accelerate very fast. For this kind of requirement, AWS S3 has came up with a feature called transfer acceleration. What is it, Nana? Transfer acceleration. If you use this feature called transfer acceleration, what it will do? It will speed up your transfer. Instead of using your normal internet, it uses in the backend. What is that? CDN. What is that? CDN. Remember CDN. What is the CDN purpose? Content delivery network. So basically it is to increase the fastness. No, it is there. Whose network is that? AWS network. AWS internal network. So you will get a faster upload to your Ireland. So it is billable. It's not a free feature, but in case in real time, if you want to accelerate the transfer to the multiple regions, so you can use this transfer acceleration concept. And the certification question you will get is which service transfer acceleration is using in the backend? CDN is the concept. Understood? So what is the topic here? Transfer acceleration. And you have something called now another one, ACL. What's that? What's the full form of ACL? Excellent. What is that? Access control list. Access control list. So basically, this is used to give the permissions. To, let's say I have an object or I have a bucket. I want to share it to some other person. Can I give the permissions to others? Yeah. I want to give the other account using the AWS ID. Can I give the permissions? Yes. How do you give all the permissions? Using ACL. What is the full form of ACL, Nana? Access control list. Clear? Hmm? These are all very small features are there. There is also one more feature called inventory. What is that? What is inventory then generally? Stock. I'll say there is one room and there are so many items are there. Can you get me the inventory? What do you do? What is the meaning of get me the inventory meaning? What do you do? You go and list all the items, no? So I have this item, these many items are there, and this is the size of it, and blah blah blah. Every information you will get it. In S3 also, let's say in real time you have a big bucket, so many subfolders, so many objects are there, and all of a sudden your manager asked, Babu, can you give me the inventory of the bucket? That meaning what? How many objects are there? Those are encrypted or not? Any CRR are created? Any SRR are created? Any pre-senders are created? All the information about the object for the bucket. So using this inventory, you can download. So if you create an inventory, automatically an Excel sheet will get downloaded and throw it on manager page. Okay, that is called inventory. And S3, can we monitor S3 also? Can we monitor S3 also? Of course. So we have something called metrics. So using metrics, we can monitor the S3. Okay. And another one also, which is called, this one we don't use it, but I'm just giving for extra knowledge for you. So a requester pays. What is that? Say that. A requester pays. This is a little bit different. Who is paying? Requester. Requester pays meaning, Nana, you have your own bucket. You have your own object. You have your own bucket. You have your own objects. Who should pay for that? You have your own bucket in your account. You have your own objects. Who should be paying it? You only know. Because you have your own bucket, own objects, you have to pay for it. But here, you are not paying. Who is paying? Requester is paying. Example. Meaning client. Yes. Example. Amazon videos is there, no? Amazon Prime Video. So there are so many videos. You know where are the videos are stored? In the backend. S3 only. So here now, you are paying and accessing the movie. So that means you are the requester pays. If you want to have this kind of environment, then use the concept called requester pays. In this requester pays, who will get charged? You are customer. Customer. That is called requester pays. So we don't have that kind of requirement now, but I'm just giving additional knowledge here. Requester pay meaning who is paying here? Requester will pay. So I'll write it clearly for you right now. In general, who will pay, Nana? Bucket owner will pay, right? Bucket owner pay for all S3 storage and data transfer cost associated with their bucket. This is a normal scenario. with requester pays buckets. The requester, instead of the bucket owner, pays the cost of the request and the data download from the bucket. And remember, whoever is accessing that objects, he should not be anonymous. He should be a AWS customer only. So that where does the AWS will charge for it? In his account. Let's say you have your own account and you have some object. I want to access it. I need to access from my AWS account. So that AWS will charge in my account. You understand? If it is anonymous, how come he will be charged? Where he will be charged? No, right? He will be charged in the AWS account only. So the requester must be authenticated in AWS so that AWS knows where to charge in their AWS account. Cannot be anonymous. Is it clear now? Similarly, there is a S3 event notifications. Do you remember we discussed in CloudWatch events? Remember events? Huh? All EC2. See, in event bridge, which service we have selected? EC2, because we have learned EC2. But if you want to do the same thing from S3, you need to select S3 there. So here also we have something called S3 event notification. S3 event notification meaning here, let's say for example, in real time, how does it work? Let's say you are managing the bucket and you want to get a notification if someone has uploaded any object, someone has deleted the object, someone has restored the object, someone has created CRR, SRR, or cost, anything, whatever that you're doing on the bucket, you will get a notification. Can you use this and get the notifications? That is called S3 event notification. And another one, I already told you, this is one. What is that? Batch operation. What is that? So if you want to perform any bulk operations, then go for it. Perform bulk operations on existing S3 objects with a single request. Batch operation. Online, are you following? Are you getting it? Super. Okay. So we have been talking about so many things on S3 since 2-3 days, right? Listen this topic carefully, which I'm going to talk about this here now. No. The topic which I'm talking now, the new topic now, that one, you know very well, right? So every service I'll be giving one exploring topic. Yes or no? On the practicals. This is the topic that you will be exploring by yourself. But I'll tell you the topic. But practical, this small feature, you need to do it. Rest everything I'll show you. But this is the only small feature that I want you to do it. Okay, na? Ready? So that topic here is S3 access points. What is that? Listen this carefully. Assume that this is a bucket. Why bucket? I put this. Nana, what is this? This is a bucket. In this bucket, can I have different prefixes? What is prefixes meaning? Assume that I have a subfolder called DevOps. I have a subfolder called developers. I have a subfolder called sales, for example. What are all these? These are all prefix. These are all prefixes. Now, the question here is, how many buckets are there? Only in one bucket. Only one bucket. In one bucket, how many prefixes are there? I don't want to create multiple buckets for one bucket for DevOps, one bucket for developers, one bucket for sales. No. How many buckets I've created? Only one bucket. Inside that, I have created subfolders. DevOps, developers, sales. Now, DevOps people will be there, no? I want them to access only DevOps prefix. I want developers only to access only developers folder. Sales people need to access only sales. Generally, if you want to give these kind of permissions, how do we give using IAM policies, no? But here, if you want to do it from IAM policy with different buckets, it's easy. And we have one bucket, inside that you have multiple prefixes. So you need to write a very nasty big IAM policy for this, it is headache. For that reason, AWS came up with a new feature called, not new feature, it's a feature called access points. So here what you need to do, you don't need to write a policy for this. Simply what you need to do is, here we have users are there. Who are the users are here? DevOps users, DevOps user. Developer user, sales user. So we have these users. Now what you need to do, you need to create access point. What you need to create? One access point for DevOps and another access point developer AP and sales AP. So give this, basically this endpoint is nothing but a DNS name. Give this DNS name to user. Using the DNS name, that user will directly put their files inside these prefixes. So you don't need to write a policy. Simply create access point for each and every individual subfolders, and the URL will be there. The DNS name will be there. Give the DNS name to the user, and using that, they will directly put the objects inside it. So now tell me, DevOps user can put their files in developer prefix? No, because for DevOps, you have given which API? DevOps API. Understood? So I have given the concept here, but implementation, I want you to do it. Only this small thing you need to do it. Rest everything I'll show. Okay, na? Don't put faces like this. Tell yes or no. You need to explore. Otherwise, in real time, new things will come. No, then how do we handle those new things? Don't say that Riya sir didn't teach us. Huh? No, you should not say that. So you need to explore. You need to have that habit of exploring stuff. Okay. So here I'll write for you. Write down, instead of writing critical bucket policies, you can create access points to each prefix and give the DNS name to the users to access their respective folders in the bucket. I have clearly written. If you read this, you'll understand. Now, is this clear? Okay, now. So I'm asking one more certification question here. By default, bucket is public or private? By default, it is private. So how many types of buckets are there? Two types of buckets. One is public bucket, another one is private bucket. Okay, na? So you created a private bucket. So objects are private or public? So if the bucket is private, object is also private. Okay, na? This is clear. Okay. Now I have created a bucket called public bucket. Objects are public or private? Huh? Think and answer. Hmm? Bola, bola. Tell me. Okay. So I'm telling you this answer for this. If the bucket is public, the object is private. Object is private. The nature of the object is always private. Doesn't matter if it is public or private. Object is always private. Nana, if the bucket is public, object is private. But can we make that object public? Yes. By default, it is private. If required, we can make it public. Even though you created a public bucket, the objects are still private. If required, you can make the object public. Clear? Certification question. So by default, objects nature is private. Correct. If you create a private bucket, object is private, obviously. If you create a public bucket, object is still private. If required, you can make it public. Super. And can we do static website hosting? Yes or no? S3 supports static website hosting. We'll see that. That is also one of the feature. Clear? No, everyone. Is it clear? Congratulations. S3 done. Okay. Injected any pain? Yes or no? No pain. Right? So it's easy, no? So what is this? What are the things that, and if you go to practicals now, each and every topic that we have learned will be there in the console. But the good thing is, without knowing, everything got injected in your brain. Huh? So what are the topics that we have? Just list down from starting. What are the topics mainly we have discussed? We have discussed mainly from S3 properties we have discussed. No, S3 is global, buckets are regional, bucket names are unique, universal, S3 is unlimited storage. Remember, S3 is serverless. And then by default, buckets are private. After that, we have discussed about versioning. So versioning details we have discussed. After that versioning, we have discussed about minimum maximum values of the object. What is the minimum object size? 0 bytes. Maximum object size 5 terabyte. In single put, how much? 5 GB. So we discuss all this. After that, we discuss about the storage classes. So we discuss about standard frequently access, infrequently access, reduced redundancy storage, one zone IA, intelligent tire, glacier, deep glacier, and all the differences between the storage classes, and which one is a default storage class, standard frequently access. After that, we have discussed about LCM, life cycle management, and we created a rules inside it, right? So that, and two types of actions are there. Transition, expirations are there, right? And then transition meaning moving the objects from one storage cache to another storage cache. Expiration meaning delete after certain period of time. And then we discuss about server access logs, object access logs, object lock we have discussed. And then Athena we have cover overview. We don't go to Athena, but just an information, right? After that, Cars we have learned. Cars meaning generally objects are shared. No. So we need to enable the cars. After that, CRR, SRR, we discuss replications. After that, encryptions we have learned. So mainly encryption can be done in two ways. What are those? In transit, data at rest. In S3, how many types of encryptions? Three types. What are those? Server-side encryption or client-side encryption in transit. In server-side encryption, again, we have three types. What are those? SSC S3, SSC KMS, SSC C. So which one is mostly commonly used? SSC S3. Now, in transit, how do you use? Using HTTPS. HTTPS, where do you create these certificates? ACM. So data at rest, where do you create? KMS. Okay. And what is the algorithm that the AWS is using for encryption? AES 256. Which one? AES 250. What is the full form of AES? Advanced Encryption Standard. Okay. So after encryption, what did we learn? Yes. Data consistency models. So how many types of models are there? Two types. What are those? Read after write, consistency of puts of new object. And second one, eventually consistency of overwrites of puts and deletes. Fantastic. You remember that. Okay. After that, we have discussed pre-signed URL. Pre-signed URL being temporary purpose we have enabled. So we have a validity for that. After that, we have discussed about transfer acceleration. Right. After that, we have discussed about requester pace, and then batch operations, event notifications, access points. Enter S3 in 5 minutes. Cheat sheet, we call it as. What sheet? Cheat sheet. Clear? Okay, na? Any questions online? If not, take the screenshots. And tomorrow, Saturday, we have class. And we'll be doing practicals. Don't miss the class, okay? Second one. So if your bucket is private, object is private. If bucket is public, object is private. Remember that. You should not get confused. If required, can we make it public? If the bucket is private, can you make the image? Can you make the object public? If the bucket is private, can you make your object public? 100% no. Because if you want to make the object public, bucket should be public. And then this. అర్థమైందా? Okay. Please repeat the transfer accelerator. Who is that? Lakshmana. No, transfer acceleration. Do you remember transfer acceleration? So if you want to upload any object to any of the region, generally it will take little bit time. It can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depend upon the size. But if you want to accelerate the transfer, you can use this feature called transfer acceleration. So if you use this feature, what is in the backend, it will use CDN, it will use to make it faster. That's why we call it as transfer acceleration. So it will be speed up. Can you show the first slide? Yes, sure. Good. So tomorrow we have class. don't forget, and tomorrow we'll do the practicals. We'll cover a lot of practicals tomorrow. Don't miss the class. Can you give the final CC for today, please? Online, CC with smile. Okay, so that is all, guys, for today, and I'll see you tomorrow with the next practicals on S3. Until then, take care. Bye bye. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.